Hello students, welcome to mathematics class. Students, this is part 8 of the chapter comparing quantities. In this part 8, we will be revising important topic of this chapter, compound interest, and you are going to watch this on 7th January 2021. Now, coming to the next, the topic interest, I would like to just reiterate for a while. You know, you might have come across this sort of statements. 1 year interest for fixed deposit in a bank is at 9% per annum, or you might have come across another statement such as savings account with interest at 5% per annum amounts to this much. These sort of words, somewhere like interest, the word in these sentences, what does it mean? See children, interest is an extra money paid by the institutions such as banks, post offices, or any other an individual for the money deposited with them. Remember, money deposited with those people, with these institutions, means we are keeping with them. For that, those institutions should pay an extra money along with the money what we have kept. So that extra money is called an interest. Interest is also paid by people when they borrow money. If somebody borrows money from these institutions, then the borrower should also pay interest. Remember children, we have already learnt simple interest in our earlier classes. Now let us get into some of the important terminology. Now here I would like to tell you very important the terminologies such as lender is the person who gives money. To whom he gives? He gives to borrower. So lender lends money, borrower borrows money as per the language. We are changing some important the words. Here lender lends money, borrower borrows the money. Whatever the money is lended by the lender is called principal. Spelling very careful, principal. This principal is also sometimes called as sum. S-U-M, sum. Okay. Later, this lender, he expects extra money. Remember children, what is this extra money? He expects extra money, which we call it as interest. You know, this interest is of two types. One, it can be simple interest, as I have already discussed with you, or as you have already learnt in your lower classes, and this interest can be compound interest. Now coming to the interest, how much extra money to be paid? by the borrower to the lender, that question comes. How much extra, on what basis we calculate, that comes here. Remember, we will have at rate of interest. What is this rate of interest? Very simple, children. Very simple. Rate of interest is always tells per 100 how much you have to pay. Okay, out of 100 rupees that you have taken, how much money to be paid extra over and above that 100 rupees. That is called rate of interest. You know, any fraction with the denominator 100 is represented with the percentile symbol, numerator with that percentile symbol. This are percentage we say. Then for how many days or how many months or for how many years that this borrower has taken money from the lender will become the time period. So we have very important words. One, the one who gives money is called lender. The one who takes money is called borrower. Next, the money given by the lender is called principal or sum, and it is represented with the normally with the letter capital P. Later, at what basis this extra money paid will be, that will be decided based on the rate of interest. What is this rate of interest? Rate of interest tells out of 100 rupees how much money extra to be paid. For example, suppose if I have taken 100 rupees at the rate of interest 8, then I have to pay 8 rupees extra over and above 100 rupees. That means I have to pay while paying 100 rupees also, and for that 100, 8 rupees extra I have to pay, 108 rupees I have to pay. Then this normally represented with the letter capital R, and it is a percentile or percentage because it is out of 100. Then for how many years, months or for how many days that we take, we normally call it as time period, and that time period is represented with the letter T. And the money extra paid over and above the principal is called interest. And interest are of two types. One is simple interest, another is compound interest. See children, we normally represent interest with the letter I, capital I. It can be simple interest or it can be compound interest. Now coming to the very important further, while paying, the borrower should pay principal along with the interest. What do we call this? It is called amount. It is called amount. A, capital letter A. We can say it has a formula. A, capital A. Amount is principal plus interest. Then you have learnt a formula for simple interest. See, simple interest formula, as you know, it is principal into time period into rate of interest out of 100. See how this formula has come into the existence, that you have learnt in your class 7th. See, simple children, you are paying, if I take unitary method, suppose rate of interest tells extra to be paid. which we normally call it as interest. R for every rupees 100. Then for 1 rupee you have to pay R upon 100. For 1 rupee. Then for rupees P, you have taken principal amount P now. For P rupees, you have to pay R by 100 into P. This in 1 year. For T number of years, if I take T years, for T years, then R by 100 into P into T extra to be paid. Now you got this as a formula, that is it. P into T into R by 100, P T R by 100, that is it. So this is how the formula has come into picture. Okay. Using unitary method we can derive this formula, which you have done in your class 7. I am just making you to once again recollect. Now what is this amount? Amount is principal plus this interest. I will substitute instead of I this PTR by 100. Now if I take out P as a common, it becomes P into, very important children, 1 plus, then only you will get this back now. P into 1 is P plus TR by 100. So this is a very important formula for further learning. Anytime you have to use this formula. Okay. Amount is P into 1 plus TR by 100, 1 plus TR by 100. Okay. So this is very important formula in the case of simple interest. Now based on this what we have learned, let us go for solving one example. Coming to the example number 10, it is based on the same concept. A sum of rupees 10,000 is borrowed at a rate of interest 15% per annum for 2 years. Find the simple interest on this sum and the amount to be paid at the end of 2 years. Now solution, here principal is rupees 10,000, rate of interest is 15% per annum, we say PA, or you can write clearly like this, per annum also. Then time period 2 years. Then you are asked to find the simple interest. You know simple interest formula is PTR by 100, which is nothing but 10,000 multiplied to the 2 years into 15% upon 100. It gives 15 2s are 30, 30 hundreds are 3,000. This is the interest which he has to pay extra. Therefore, amount is principal plus interest, which means 10,000 plus 3,000, which gives 13,000. So I will say as a conclusion, therefore amount to be paid at the end of 2 years is rupees 13,000. So that's it. This is how we solve this question. Now, coming further, try this. Here, find the interest and amount to be paid on 15,000 at 5% per annum for 2 years. So, I am finding straight away amount. Okay, amount I am finding, that is P into 1 plus T into R by 100, where 15,000 1 plus T is 2 years into 5% by 100. So, this 2 5s are cancels with 1 0, then it is 15,000 1 plus 1 upon 10, where it is nothing but 15,000 1 upon 10 plus 1, don't cancel 0 0 here. You know 1 plus 1 by 10 is done with the help of taking LCM. So, 1 in 10, 10 times 10 ones are 10, 10 plus 1, it is 11 upon 10, or you can do in another way, 1 plus 1 by 10, 1 by 10 can be written as 0.1, which is nothing but 1 plus 0.1 is 1.1, that way you can do, but be careful while doing these calculations. 0 0 cancels now. 11 into 1500, 2 zeros comes as it is, 15 11s is 165, which is nothing but 16,500 you have to pay end of the 2 years. What is interest? I can find interest, amount minus principal. After finding amount, I can calculate interest. So, 16,500 minus 15,000 gives me 1,500, which is the extra money paid, which we call it as interest. This way also I can find. Okay. Here in this, it is presumed that interest is of simple interest type. Okay. Now we will go for recollecting what is the meaning of compound interest. See children, coming to the word compound interest, normally the interest paid or charged is never simple. Okay. In any of the institutions such as bank or post office or any financial company, if it is lending money, they will charge not simple interest. So, remember, interest is calculated on the amount of the previous year. Remember, it is calculated over and again, but for the previous year, what was the amount that to be given, over that interest will be calculated for the next year. This is known as interest compounded or compound interest. Interest compounded, okay. In Kannada we call it as Chakrabaddi. Okay. Interest on interest will be called as compound interest. Remember children, interest calculated on interest again is compound interest. Baddi mele baddi hakuvudannu Chakrabaddi anta kariತೀವಿ. This is what you have learnt. Okay. Now, let us take an example and find the interest year by year. Each year our sum changes, our principal changes. Now, we are going for calculating compound interest. What is the way of calculating compound interest? Here I am giving a question. A question is that a sum of 20,000 is borrowed by Hina. Here Hina is borrowing 20,000, but for 2 years at the rate of interest 8% compounded annually. Extra it must be written if it is compounded annually, like that. Find the CI and the amount she has to pay at the end of 2 years. Now, we will go for solving this question. Coming to this question, here remember children, this 20,000 is principal for the first year. I am writing principal for the first year. Principal for the first year. Now, rate of interest is same 8% per annum, and time, you know, it is 1 year only. I am calculating for 1 year first. Then interest for the first year is PTR by 100 formula we are using, that is 20,000 into time for 1 year into 8% upon 100, sorry, here 100. So these two zeros will get cancelled, 8 ones are 8, and that 8 200s are is 1600. So interest, we call this as interest for the first year. Okay. Now, therefore, amount by the end of first year, that is A1, it is becoming P1 plus I1, interest for the first year added to the principal for the first year. So that is 21,600. You know how to add, I just wrote straight away A1. Now, this amount for the amount by the end of the first year will become principal for the second year. Okay. Now, coming to the principal for the second year, that is P2, is amount at the end of first year, which means it is rupees 21,600. Now, rate of interest remains same, that is 8% per annum, and time period remains same, that is 1 year, that is second year's 1 year. Okay. And I am going to calculate interest for the second year. See children, interest for the second year, I2 I am representing, which is calculated on principal for the second year, that is P2 into time into rate of interest by 100, that means 21,600 into 1 year into 8 upon 100. So these two zeros will get cancelled, and 8 ones are 8, and that 8 will multiply 216. So what is the value? 216 into 8 gives you rupees 1,768. Now tell me, is this interest is more than the interest for the first year? It is obviously more, that was 1600 and this is 1768. Now, amount by the end of second year, which we call it as A2, is P2 plus I2, that is principal for the second year added to the interest for the second year. Principal for the second year is 21,600 added to interest for the second year, which is 1768. Put together, you have got here now 23,328 rupees. Now tell me children, here you have got this 328, sorry, this 128. Suppose if it would have been calculated at a simple interest, what we used to have, we used to multiply 20,000 with the 2 years with the rate of interest 8 by 100. That means it used to be 2 2s are 4, that means 400 into 8, it used to be 32, sorry, it is going to be 1 minute. It is for the 20,000 at the rate of interest 8 for 2 years. So, 2 2s are 4, 4 32 hundreds, that means 3,000 300s. It is going to be 3,200s. It is going to be the interest, but here the interest you are going to have different. Here the interest is, what is here interest? I can say here interest is simple interest. Here I have calculated SI, and here CI is I1 plus I2, that is 1600 plus 1768, put together 3,328. Now you know here there is difference in compound interest and simple interest. Here simple interest is giving only 3,200, but compound interest is giving 3,328. That means compound interest is always more than simple interest when time period is more. Okay, if it would have been same 1 year, then same would have been, but it is for more than 1 year, that is for more than 1 year, one time of calculation, you are getting compound interest being more than simple interest. What is this excess? That extra is 128 rupees, isn't it? So 3,328 and 3,200, that extra is 128. What this 128 rupees? Remember children, that 128 rupees is interest calculated on the 1600 rupees. That 128 is at 8% per annum on 1600, it becomes the interest 128. So interest on interest is called compound interest. That's how the word compound has come, Chakrabaddi. That is what we have learnt in our earlier classes. Now coming to the, let us look at the difference between simple interest and compound interest by starting with the rupees 100. I have already explained to you. Now here with one more example, here by watching this table you can understand. For the first year, if you have taken 100 rupees at the rate of interest 10%, end of the year you have to pay 110 rupees. But whereas in compound interest also, if you have taken for 1 year, you will be paying 110 only. That is what I said, if time is 1 year, then compound interest, okay, if it is 1 year compounded annually, when compounded annually, if T is 1 year, then compound interest equals to simple interest. But if T is more than 1 year, then you watch, for the second year at principal interest you have to pay 10 rupees extra only, that is 120 rupees in total you will pay. But whereas when compound interest you will be paying 121 rupees. Why? Because that 1 rupee will be calculated on this interest of the first year also. So interest on interest you are paying 121 it becomes. If you have taken for the third year, you will pay only 130 in the case of simple interest, but whereas you will pay 10% of 11 rupees as extra here. So it becomes 10 rupees in the first year, 11 rupees in the second year, in the third year 12 rupee 10 paise, 12 rupee 10 paise it becomes. See, interest on interest is increasing, whereas in the case of simple interest that interest remains same for all the periods. That means principal remains same for all the years, whereas in compound interest, principal is getting changed every end of the year. Every end of the year, that principal becomes amount in the previous year. So that's how you are getting extra compound interest, extra in compound interest. Now here are some important notes. Note number 1, compound interest we pay on the interest accumulated till then. Okay. Interest earned by simple interest here is 30 rupees, whereas interest earned by compound interest here is 33 rupees 10 paise. You are watching it as extra. More. Fourth point, the principal remains the same. Remember children, the principal remains the same under simple interest while it changes year after year under the compound interest. So with this I have completed this session on session further 7th January 2021. In our next session, I will start deducting formula for the compound interest, and I will solve some questions on that compound interest. We will do some revision on deducing formula for compound interest and solving some questions on it. So till then, take care of yourself. Jai Hind. Thank you.